The video opens with chaos. Oxygen masks drop from the ceiling, passengers scream, and the plane jerks violently midair. Amid the panic, one man stays calm, a rugged-looking single dad in a worn leather jacket, holding his daughter close. "Stay with me, sweetheart," he says firmly, scanning the cabin like he's done this before. A terrified flight attendant shouts, "The pilot's unconscious." The man looks up at the locked cockpit door, determination flashing in his eyes. Just minutes earlier, that same man had been denied a first-class seat he rightfully paid for, humiliated in front of his daughter. But now, 12 minutes later, every soul on that plane would owe him their lives. The screen fades to black as the narrator's voice echoes. Sometimes, the ones we overlook are the ones who save us all. Ethan Cole adjusted his daughter's pink backpack as they stepped into the airport terminal. The morning rush filled the air with chatter and the scent of fresh coffee. He wasn't a man of many words, broad-shouldered, calm-eyed, wearing a jacket that had seen better days. His daughter, Lily, 8 years old, clung to his hand with excitement. "Daddy, is it true we get to sit in the big seats today?" she asked, her voice full of wonder. Ethan smiled faintly. "That's right, sweetheart. First class. Just this once." He'd saved for months, skipping meals, working long night shifts at the mechanic's garage. This was their first vacation since his deployment overseas. Just father and daughter, no noise, no orders, no war. But life has a strange way of humbling those who deserve peace the most. At the gate, a neatly dressed woman looked over Ethan's boarding pass. Her expression changed the moment she saw his clothes, faded jeans, military haircut, and boots that whispered of deserts far away. "Sir," she said curtly, "I believe there's been a mistake. First class is reserved for priority travelers." Ethan frowned. "Ma'am, that's my ticket. I paid for it weeks ago." The woman forced a polite smile. "I'm sure you did, but we're overbooked. You'll have to move to economy. Regulations." Lily looked up, confused. "But Daddy, you said." "It's okay, honey," Ethan interrupted gently, his voice calm despite the sting. "We'll be fine." A businessman behind them scoffed. "They're probably upgrading someone important," he muttered loud enough for Ethan to hear. "Not him." The attendant's face turned pink, but she didn't correct the man. Ethan said nothing, just nodded and took the new boarding passes. He'd faced worse than this. Being underestimated was almost comforting now. As they walked down the aisle of the plane, Ethan noticed the same businessman relaxing in the seat meant for him and Lily, sipping champagne, legs crossed like royalty. Lily pouted. "Daddy, he took our seats." Ethan squeezed her hand. "Let him have it, kiddo. Sometimes people need the seat more than we do." They sat near the back, next to the window. Ethan folded his arms, staring out as the engines roared to life. The sky opened up before them, vast, endless, and free. Lily leaned her head on his arm. "You okay, Daddy?" He smiled, the same smile he'd worn in war zones to keep his men calm. "Always, sweetheart." But deep inside, he felt the weight of how invisible veterans could be once the uniform came off. 40 minutes into the flight, everything was calm. Passengers dozed, movies flickered across screens, and Lily drew hearts on a napkin. Ethan closed his eyes, finally, peace. Then came the sound that every pilot dreads, a loud metallic bang, followed by the shriek of turbulence. The plane jolted hard, oxygen masks dropped, and screams filled the cabin. Drinks spilled, luggage fell, and the lights flickered ominously. "Ladies and gentlemen, please," the intercom cut out mid-sentence. Panic erupted. A flight attendant stumbled down the aisle, pale and trembling. "The captain, he's unresponsive." Ethan's eyes snapped open. Training instincts surged back like lightning. "Where's the co-pilot?" She shook her head, tears in her eyes. He collapsed too. "We think it's a heart attack." "Both of them." Ethan stood up, steady as stone. "Get me to that cockpit. Now." Passengers shouted over each other, "Sit down." "Who are you?" "We're going to die." Ethan raised his voice, calm but commanding.
I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I've flown tactical transport aircrafts. I can help, but we don't have time.
The attendant hesitated, staring at the man who looked more soldier than civilian. She finally nodded and handed him the cockpit access key. Inside, Ethan assessed the chaos: alarms blaring, altitude dropping, autopilot disengaged.
His hands moved on instinct, switching systems, stabilizing controls. He grabbed the radio.
Mayday, Mayday, Flight 278, pilot incapacitated. Civilian veteran at the controls, attempting manual stabilization.
Control tower responded, voices crackling through static. Copy that, Flight 278. Maintain heading 115. You're losing altitude fast. Ethan's knuckles whitened on the yoke.
Not today, he muttered. Meanwhile, Lily peeked through the curtain, tears on her cheeks.
Daddy?
He turned for half a second and smiled.
You're gonna be fine, baby. Just like I promised. With guidance from the tower, Ethan maneuvered the aircraft back into stable air.
Sweat trickled down his neck as he fought the storm headwinds.
Minutes felt like hours. Every life on board depended on his steadiness, his courage.
Finally, with a shuddering thump, the plane leveled out. The passengers erupted into sobs and applause as they realized they were safe. When they landed, emergency crews rushed in.
Reporters and officials crowded around.
The businessman from first class, the same one who'd sneered at him, walked up, trembling.
I owe you my life, he stammered. Ethan looked at him calmly. You don't owe me anything. Just remember, respect isn't about where you sit. It's about who you stand beside.
He took Lily's hand and walked away as cameras flashed behind him. Epilogue, closing narration. As they exited the airport, Lily looked up with pride.
Daddy, you're my hero.
He smiled softly, eyes glistening.
No, sweetheart.
Heroes are the ones who keep believing even when the world stops seeing them.
The narrator's voice closes over the final scene: Ethan walking into the golden sunset, daughter by his side.
The world may forget their names, but courage like his never lands, it only keeps flying.